At this point, I have the beginnings of a pretty dynamic game. So when I press play, I have some enemies that instantiate throughout my scene and will follow me. I have some pickup items, which are these green cubes that that will add 1 point to my score, and the enemies will actually remove a point from my score. What I would like to do at this stage is say if my score drops below 0, to restart the level or to send us to another place, either to a game over screen or to another scene, essentially. So the way that we can do that is just to add a simple line of code into our player controller script that we've been working with so far. So if we open up that player controller script, okay, so in my player controller script, we just want to add one sort of simple line of code, which is an if statement. So what we have here is this set count text function at the bottom of our script. So what this does is it constantly displays whatever our count is as a score. But what we want to sort of say is that if the count drops below 0, then we want an action to happen. So every time this set count text function runs is after we add or minus 1 to our score. So every time we add or minus 1 from our score, we want to be updating the score, but we also want to be checking whether it's dropped below 0. So in this section here, we can just say if count is less than 0, okay, so what we're actually going to do here is if count is less than 0, then get our scene manager to load a new scene, and that scene name is going to be scene 2. And then we close it. Now we can see at the moment it's not liking these keywords that I've put in. They're not turning colors, and it's not going to like them. It's going to give me an error and say it doesn't understand what these are. So the top of our screen, similarly to the way that we needed to add a UI library to the top of this, we also need to tell it that we're using our scene management library as well. So now that we have our script working, so we have if count is less than 0, scene manager load scene seed2, and we're using our Unity Engine class at the top of the screen, we need to make sure that we are adding in a scene 2 that it actually goes to. So here in our scenes folder, I'm just going to create a new scene. I'm going to call it scene 2, making sure actually that we are using the same spacing and capital letters as we've actually referred to in our script. So I've used a capital S and no space, so that matches. And now if I double click on that and save my scene, I've just got this new blank scene. So now, essentially if my score drops below 0, it should load this blank scene, which would be ready for me to put a graphical user interface into, or would be ready for me to do my next level, or whatever it is that I need to do. And under our Unity build, so we go File, Build Settings, you can see we have no scenes at the moment added to our build. So I want to say Add Open Scene, and now Scene 2 is added. I also want to make sure my Scene 1 is added also. And I can rearrange them up here so that they'll appear in order. So if scene 1 is the first scene that I want my player to see when they load the game, then it needs to be at the top. After that, it doesn't really matter what order they are, because obviously your script will direct the program to what scene it needs to open at what time. But it's very important that whatever scene you want the player to play first is at the top of your build settings. Once we've added both of our scenes to the build, we can close that. And now we should find when we press play, my enemy will run into me and it loads to my new scene.